Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of In the Chair. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Sasses Lewis, otherwise known as Vixen.
Hi.
And Susie Love. How are you, Susie?
Ooh, hi.
Okay, so we have two burning topics to discuss today, and I think we might start with Susie's first. Susie, would you like to open it up?
My question is about feisty heroines. Are they a good idea in romance or not, and how feisty should they be?
Okay, Sass, I can see you want to say something. Go for it.
Okay, yes, they are very important. We need them. How feisty they get is up to the character. I write feisty heroines, so I think if you write a flat heroine that doesn't have that bit of feist to her, she is literally flat. People can't relate because we've all got that little bit of spark in us, so it needs to come across in your character. And if you're talking that you've got, for the majority of it, we're in discussion with also an alpha male. If you've got an alpha male and a female character that isn't feisty, she comes across as a doormat, that she's just being trodden on. So they need to have that balance of feist about them. He can be arrogant and all that, but if she just allows it, it's not a good thing. So it is definitely necessary to our heroines. They need to have a bit of spark about them and that full-bodiness to them that makes them a real character. How feisty they become, you can go to the extreme and make them all badass and stuff like that. But are we allowed to swear in these things?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it's great because we all know I'm a swearer.
Really?
No, it's secret. She could go all out, but you also, as a writer, need to be cautious of the fact that you could overdo that, and now you've just got your character coming off as a bitch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I would agree. I don't like two-dimensional characters. I find them incredibly boring. So for me, I want that little bit of oomph in my character. I want her to be able to stand up and go, "Oh, get lost." You know, if the hero is being a toad, you know, there's no. As in life, how many people do we know that are soft and gentle and doormats? And that's not what I want for my heroine. I want my heroine to be able to stand up for herself and do what she needs to do. And I tend to, my heroines tend to be a bit capable of looking after themselves because that makes them more interesting as characters. Susie?
Well, because I write historical romance, there's often an alpha male, a duke, an earl, a viscount, or whatever, and if the heroine is simply one of the very traditional type Regency heroines who...
I'm going to faint!
Yes, makes 15-minute visits and drinks a cup of tea all day and changes her clothes, well, there is no story. She's not interesting at all. So even keeping in mind that, they had limited things they could do, I always make mine a bit intelligent and, feisty because they've got intelligence and they want to do stuff. So mine are all, mathematicians or herbalists or something interesting where they go out and they do things and they're not prepared to sit around and just drink cups of tea and be bossed around by an alpha male.
Yep.
I seriously think those women must have had some feist about them anyway. It would have been so uncomfortable in those clothes. They would have had to have had a bitchy streak in them.
Could you imagine those lacing and the boning? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, you've just killed me dressing me. For the rest of the day, that's it, I'm a bitch.
That's right. And surprisingly, a lot of people think that the whole population back in the 1800s was just like that. They were just stiff-necked and walked and did nothing. But most of them, the women especially, rode and drove carriages, and a lot of the women had the records for the racing of the horses and things, through the park.
Yeah.
They didn't all just sit around like idiots.
No.
Okay, topic number 2 for today, and I have a bit of a reason for this. I was watching a discussion the other day talking about in historical, for instance, that they were chasing a piece of information, but they really weren't bothered that the piece of information that they were using was inaccurate, and they didn't know the background. They hadn't done the research for it. And I have heard in the past other people say, and again, coming back to the historical first and foremost, well, if the history gets in the way of the story, let's just ditch the history and we'll just go. And I suppose the question I want to pose to you today is, how important is it to be rigorous in your research?
Who's first? Me?
You go first.
You go first.
I can go. Well, it's absolutely, because there are so many people who actually know the history these days. We're not in the dark ages. We're all online. We all read things. We're all informed. So as readers, you don't want to be fooled, and you don't want to be fed stuff that isn't true and, that's garbage. You can stretch the truth a little bit here and there, but for the main thing, you have to stick to the historical facts. You have to get your research right.
I agree.
I think Imogen and I were talking about this as well, and it's finding that balance between fact and fiction, no matter what genre you write in. And for me particularly, I write generally pure fiction, so I don't write a Regency historical, so I don't need to do that bit of research, but I'm writing an MC book and a football book at the moment. Now, anyone that's going to read my football book and generally reads that genre will read that subgenre.
Yep.
So they're going to know more about it than I do, which means I need to put in that research. I can fudge some of it, and because it is fiction, but to a point it needs to be factual. So research is highly important no matter what your subgenre, even down to your taboo. I think I read a book where he was hammering her womb. Well, shit, you best take her to the hospital, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
You've just killed her. There's a cervix in the way there. So, yeah, general research down to your body. You need to know the anatomy a little bit when you're writing erotica and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Have you hitting the certain parts that are actually there, and not have your reader sitting there going, "Ow, it hurts." Dying.
Right.
So yeah, I'd say research is quite important. How in depth your research would be up to the author and that subgenre that you're writing in. Historical, I don't read it and I don't write it. Sorry, ladies. But I do know that those that do read it profusely, so they know this information. And again, so if that author is not putting in the time and effort to research that subject, you're going to lose readers who go, well, you're not really writing historical.
Yeah.
So,
I find that, I write mainly science fiction, and so for me, people have got the internet and YouTube. You can watch shuttle landings, the science and the mechanics. Unless you have a decent understanding, you've almost got to stay away from it. And, sadly, I like that stuff. I like research. I really enjoy those facts, and I particularly like the science side of it. So for me, it makes sense. But I need to make sure that my research is rigorous. Because the last thing I want is, I know I was doing edits with a book some years ago, and I put in this fact about the heroine had ejected from the ship and was falling. And the editor came back and said, but you can't fall that far. And I said, well, actually you can, and it's actually happened before. But, you've got to have a life suit and what have you. But if you're coming out of a spaceship and, you're on the trajectory for Earth and this and that, and I sent her all the facts and she went, oh, I didn't know that. But the problem is that my readers would know that, or if they don't, they're going to go and look it up.
Exactly.
I can't afford to fudge around with that. I have to know what those facts are, otherwise I'm going to get called on it.
And not only that, for you, sci-fi is such a huge movie genre. So you've not only got your readers, you've got those that, like myself, who's a bit of a Trekkie fan. Live long and prosper, people.
Wait till you see me on Friday, Susie.
That's
Sorry.
right. I mean, that they always say, don't they, that this, story is everything. Your story is first and foremost.
It is.
But if you've got something that's totally wrong, a reader's not going to read the story.
No.
That's so true. Now, Sassy, have you got a quick question you want to ask? We can give you, say, 2 minutes, maybe 3. Go for it.
We know I can prattle, ladies, so don't put it on me. I was having a chat with Imogene earlier, but I'm wondering if this is a discussion we should have when we've got a few more people, is jealousy within the industry, or being envious of those that are selling better and doing better on how to build lists and all that kind of stuff. You see the constant negativity or the praise on Facebook, and then someone chucks a silly comment in there. They only did this because they did that. And I see it from both sides of the coin. I see that some of it's very factual. To hit lists, for me personally, and I will probably get slaughtered for saying this, it is a two-way street. It's a bit of being a great writer, but it's all about building that fellowship. You need the people following you to sell that quantity of books, because you can have the best cover and the best blurb on the planet on Facebook, on Amazon, but your book is there with, depending on the subgenre, I think one of my subcategories alone, out of the subcategories we choose, has over 60,000 books in it.
Yeah.
So to hit New York Times, I think it's something in the vicinity of you need to sell 30, 40,000 books within a week.
Yeah.
Hit that list.
I mean, I think the thing is, I mean, we all see it. I mean, there is a fair amount of tall poppy goes on in our industry, and you do see people who will actively work against other people in the industry. I mean, it happens. But the other thing too is, and going back to what you were saying, Sass, is that, I mean, where in the past a lot of people had to have a really good blog following and you would go off and you would build your blog first, it doesn't work like that anymore, because that is so saturated. That getting your name out there is really difficult. It's hard work. You've got to do something that's different that no one else is doing. So
finding that next best thing.
I look at it that our industry has become the same as everywhere else where there's bullying.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because
Constantly.
people can be online all the time, they've got this opportunity to bully other authors and do it. That opportunities that weren't there before. So I think, we've all just got to accept that it's one of those things that bullying happens everywhere, and it's definitely happening in our book industry.
Yeah.
And even sorry, Susie, the change over the last 2 years, when I first started, you ladies have been at it a lot longer, but when I first started, I would say to everyone, oh my God, being an author is the most supportive of communities.
Absolutely.
And I have just watched that.
Yeah. And it's hard. And
it's definitely got, the industry has got, I think like all of life, everyone's got greedier, more obsessed about me, and it's happened to our industry too, which is very sad. But I like to think that basically our industry is still very supportive.
Oh, God, yes, still heaps of support in there. It's just that, as you said, with social media so in your face these days, you're just seeing it more and more. And I've just noticed that the big turnaround in the last 18 months of that constant build-up and supporting new and upcoming authors, or supporting A-list authors, and that continual flow on and stuff like that has just decreased. And, that bitchiness, bullying is coming across a lot more than what I've seen in the past. So,
and the other reason for that is that there's a lot more authors trying to get published, whereas 3-4 years ago there wasn't so many opportunities, but now there's more opportunities, so more authors can try and get published. So of course that leads to more jealousy and more of it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to have to draw a line in the sand.
See, I told you not to ask
me. That's all right. Well, I mean, there's certainly a lot of other topics for us to talk about, and I do think that the jealousy is one that we can look at in more detail down the track. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Imogen.
Okay.
Bye.
And we will catch you all next time. And from me, that's Imogene out.